Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the almighty Mayhem, entitled Daemon, which came out today through Century Media Records. Now, Mayhem really doesn't need an introduction if you're a fan of like just extreme old school black metal. They're black metal hailing all the way from also Norway, and these guys have been around since 1984, which is kind of crazy that they've been around for that long, 35 years. And they've been putting out their releases since the late 80s with their, like, I guess their Death Crush EP, and which is, in my opinion, one of the best EPs I've heard. Like, the song, like, Pure Fucking Armageddon and Chainsaw Guts Fuck has some great stuff. But then, then in 1994, they dropped, in my opinion, one of the most landmark black metal albums of all time, De Mysteriis Dom Satanas, and that is just great. And there was a period around, I guess, the late 90s, early 2000s where they broke up, but then they got back together and they put out stuff like Chimera, and then their previous album, which came out in 2014, which is Esoteric Warfare, was pretty good. But in my opinion, does Daemon live up or exceed what Esoteric Warfare has? In my honest opinion, I feel like they definitely has. Like, the band pretty much stepped it up. It's just, the production is just very crisp sounding. It's not like the very raw, shitty production that a lot of black metal bands had in like the 90s. Vocally, Attila's vocals just sound just really sick, as always. The guitar work from Telok and I forget the other guitar player. I feel like their guitar playing is just as tight as ever compared to Esoteric Warfare. They definitely pretty much stepped it up. The bass wise, I mean, Necro Butcher's bass is pretty audible. It definitely has that little fuzzy tone I've pretty much have heard. And drumming wise, Hellhammer can do no wrong. He just pounds away at the drums. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting off the album is The Dying False King, and something about this song in particular is just good. It just has that typical Mayhem stuff, but also has a lot of the sections of this album in general will sort of like brings like the forefront of quality that existed in Mayhem that has inspired like a good amount of like modern orthodox black metal bands. And somehow this quality has passed through the best filters to meet some of its old incarnation again in an unholy reunion. And Attila's vocals is rules as expected, and there's not just a rebirth of the essence of old Mayhem, but also in parts of regrouping of the sounds of like classic bands of that era, like Emperor, to name one. Pretty good way to start off this album. Next up is Agenda Ignisis, and following, during which Necro Butchers continues to occupy one's attention with sort of his wicked bass line that he lays down. And his tone is very gargantuan with ample mids and a fuzzy haze over the top. His very articulate sound is perfect for demonstrating his forward-leaning ideas. Next song on the album is called Bad Blood, which is a great fast-moving song. It has great momentum to it, and the darkness to the riff has that, which also kind of like matches the vocals. And the way sort of like the vocals and sort of like the guitar riffs just sound perfect together, like the two meld perfectly and adds like the darkness to it. And it has like the bridge near the song has a little killer bass like in there that just sounds just so killer, and just a very magnificent guitar solo in there. Great song. Next song is Malum, which has a very methodic like intro and atmospheric vocals as well, and sort of becomes a little bit slow as it kind of progresses, but the vocals also change and are very more prominent on this song, and it's more driven in the song, but it's sort of like kind of like dips a bit into the intensity, and it provides a different mood and change for this song. Next up is Falsified in Hatred, which is an exemplary specimen of black metal. The riffs are far more frantic than ever, conveying sort of like a myriad of feelings of dread and desperation of desolation. And the sporadic use of keyboards sort of like adds a little bit of like color to the sound, and a more galloping session is refreshing to the way it just obtrusively fills things up. Next song is Aeon Daemonium, which is a prime example of sort of like strong architecture used in like assembling of these songs, and the guitar performance is just so very tight on this track, just very rhythmically precise yet not very melancholy. Man, I can't even speak today. Very mechanical sounding, and the layering of these like strong riffs and wise use of transitions yet again, and sort of like the key ingredients to this stellar song. Next song on here is Worthless Abomination Destroyed, which is actually, I believe, the first song released from this album. And it's a pretty solid return for Mayhem. And this song sounds just very grim and evil as just ever, which is just a really good first taste of like new Mayhem in 2019. I love it. Next song is Daemon Spawn, another great song. It's just so fucking sick. Like this whole album is really good. Of Worms and Ruin, wow, I love this song. And then the album closes with Invoke the Oath, which I think is a perfect way to end this album. Just end things just like with an evil and very sinister sound. Now overall, Daemon by Mayhem is a great album. I definitely think this is pretty much a step up from Esoteric Warfare. So if I have to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 8.5 out of 10, probably a 9. It's pretty much up there. One of the best black metal albums I've heard so far, along with like the new 1349. So yeah, that's my review of Daemon by Mayhem, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.